The Cordillera Mountains in the northern Philippines is home of the Ifugao people, one of the 7 indigenous tribes from the area. The Ifugao tribes are renowned for their sophisticated rice culture, their rituals and traditions revolving around the rice-growing cycle. In the Hapao village, these ancient rice terraces continue to be cultivated as they have been for centuries. Rising thousands of feet into the sky, poets have called them the stairways to the gods. It was the inhospitable terrain and the strength of their traditions that enabled the Hapao people to resist Spanish and American colonizers for over 400 years. But in the past 50 years, the erosion of ancient customs has accelerated. Will the ifugaos, like many other indigenous cultures, just fade away? Baguio City, the summer capital of the Philippines, lies 250 kilometers north of the capital, Manila. Baguio's cool mountain climate makes it a favorite holiday destination for both local and foreign tourists. Baguio City is the gateway into the Cordillera Mountains. It is here the ancient tribal cultures come into contact with the modern world. Once proud igorots have become mere photographic props for passing tourists. On the outskirts of Baguio, a community of woodcarvers has been established, consisting mainly of ifugao migrants. These carvers have adapted their traditional skills to modern market demands. They now make handicrafts for tourists or for export. A skill once reserved for carving rice god idols to protect their rice granaries is now used to mass-produce items like Catholic religious images, Mickey Mouse, or even erotic Marilyn Monroe love seats. The leader of this carving community, Lopez Nauyak, grew up in Hapao. He moved to Baguio City as a young man in the late 50s. An articulate ifugao culture bearer, Nauyak has witnessed how city culture has alienated the generation of his children from ancient Hapao values.
Foreign influence like Christianity, it condemns most of the cultural way of life. And so the young generation gets something like brainwashed. And so they get away from the culture. They said it's bad. Bad. So everything is bad except what they are teaching. That's why the younger generation does not appreciate so much the culture.
In recent years, Lopez has been spending more time in Hapao to help the community reawaken interest in their traditional culture. He's found an unlikely ally for his work, an internationally recognized independent filmmaker, Kidlat Tahimik. For the past 4 years, Kidlat Tahimik has been going to Hapao with Nauyak to explore the use of video to help revive the fading ifugao culture.
The ability of people to pick up the camera and quickly record their world view, if I pass this skill on to the village people in Hapao, perhaps there's a hope that some of the tribal wisdom that might die with the elders might be passed on to the next generations.
After an 11-hour bus ride from Baguio, Lopez and Kidlat finally arrive in the town of Banawe, the jump-off point for the final leg of the trek to Hapao. To get to Hapao, they have to load up in a little tricycle for a 2-hour bumpy ride on a winding dirt road.
sa mga ilog. Sila'y nagkakaisa, nabuo ang malalim na laot. Di mo ba alam kung ba't maalat ang tubig sa dagat? Ito'y may dahilan kung ba't ginawa ni Apo Kabunyan.
Finally, 13 hours after leaving Baguio, they arrive in Hapao. They can see their final destination just 500 meters away, but to actually get there will take an hour as they wind their way down one side and back up the mountain to the village on the other side. Preparations for the video workshop start early. Workshop regulars like Gilbert are there to lend a hand. Orlando and Santos are two veterans of Kidlat Tahimik's workshops. They now act as facilitators in the project.
Ako yung English nga white. Nati white the hapit. Ang lawa.
When Kidlat Tahimik started holding the workshops 4 years ago, he used his own cameras and those of friends. After a year, he was able to secure a grant and bought 3 second-hand cameras that he could leave with the community.
Hold your breath. This goal of developing a core of video documenters, I thought this could be done within 1 year, but I slowly came to realize that you have to adapt to the pace of life there. So we never even got to the editing stage. When they're busy harvesting, there's no way you can pull them out. After I've developed a core of people who could use the camera on a day-to-day basis, 365 days of the year. Well, the next plan that some of these footages would find their way to the schools. No, I don't think we're trying to create award-winning filmmakers. The long-run goal is to neutralize a kind of a feeling of shame towards what they have been told is a backward culture.
The next day, a communal harvest called a badang is in full swing. The badang ritual marks the giving of some rice fields to a newlywed couple, a gift from the parents of the groom. Mr. Melong and some of the other workshoppers are set up to shoot the event. Despite technical problems with some of the cameras, the workshoppers eagerly pass them around, recording different aspects of the ritual. The harvesting is carried out by the relatives of the bride. The whole ritual acts as a witnessing of the transfer of land, a form of land registration.
Ilang butok sa isang buhawit? 10-10.
But for the workshoppers, it's not just about shooting the rituals. They're part of the community as well, and so they have to help out with the harvest.
It's very interesting, you know, that somebody who's not an anthropologist has gone in, okay, to the place, and also it's not the other way around. The camera is not in the hands of the anthropologist or whoever is taking it, but it's in the hands of the, you know, of the usually the person that the object that you take. Now it's the other way around. Okay, what I mean is that now they have control already on this skill, okay, and this knowledge, and also on the instrument, okay, so that they can use it for whichever purpose. You have no control.
As the harvesting proceeds, the relatives of the groom go around providing a traditional rice wine called baya to the harvesters. The baya is potent, and after some hours of working and drinking, the mood of many harvesters turns festive.
Sometimes there are people who are drunk, overdose with wine. So in any way, there are people to see them.
As the season comes to an end, the last fields are harvested, and the grain carried off to the granaries for storage. With the harvest safely in the granaries, it's time to make a new batch of baya. One of the older workshoppers, Santos, decided to film a friend making his baya.
Isang klaseng rice yan, yung tinatawag na malagkit. Tapos lagyan nila ng yung yeast para yan yung pang ano niya, pang pasarap niya siguro. Dahil ngayon nabagyo tayo, walang dahon ng saging, kaya ginamit natin cellophane. No. Tapos antayin mo ng 3 days yan, tutulo yan ng juice niya.
This process is being repeated in many homes around Hapao as the families prepare for the post-harvest rituals and holiday events. During the next few days, the people of Hapao relax while waiting for the new batch of baya to ferment. Kitla Tahimik decides to take this opportunity to hold another workshop. This one, a basic course for first-timers. Many of the participants, women and younger ifugaos, have not taken part in earlier workshops.
Now, the whole idea of incorporating video cameras as a tool for reinforcing old cultural beliefs and practices was just the next natural step for me,
Tahimik spent the majority of his long career working with film and only started using video in more recent years.
When I picked up video, and I guess the user-friendliness became the main basis for why not share it with the people here.
Using video may seem like just a lot of fun to first-timers.
Video off na. Off na yaon na.
Ito eh.
Oh.
But the veterans of the workshop are discovering more serious uses.
Kaya ngayon may punok tayo. Tapos kung tayo yung susunod na henerasyon, tapos gusto nating ibalik yun, paano natin may ibabalik yun hindi natin alam. So kailangan natin i-video yun para mapag-aralan natin kung paano yung procedure.
With no electricity on this side of the valley, the workshoppers need to borrow a generator to charge their batteries and be able to review what they've shot.
They could, besides the initial thrill, learn to pick up the handycam and feel its an easy thing to record the habit of this. This would provide a lot of good material for tribal documentation.
After a full day of recording with sophisticated video cameras, most of the weary workshoppers have to find their way home by the light of a burning piece of wood. Mr. Melong interviews the local shaman before the Huwa, the first post-harvest ritual.
Given the grain palay and give him length, and he will be very, very joyful to us. And tomorrow we'll have a rest, so that we'll have the punno.
The Huwa is a Thanksgiving ritual after the harvest to thank the gods for giving the community a good harvest. It begins with the offering of 2 chickens. The ritual is led by the shaman, known locally as a baki. After the feathers are burnt off, the baki reads the entrails to see if the gods are pleased. The reading is very good, so the newly fermented rice wine can be opened and the ritual continue. During the ritual, great care is taken that no deities are overlooked in their prayers. Finally, the baki declares the ritual is complete. The harvest season is now officially over. The proclamation is shouted down the valley. This means that a day of rest has started and the people can start to prepare for the punok, a fun holiday event. Early the next morning, the locals are busy making kinags. Kinags are little mannequins to be used in the punok, made from vines and leaves. When everything is ready, the communities head down to the river where the mock battle, the central feature of a punok, will take place. As they descend, they shout and taunt the other groups, also making their way down to the river. The shaman, who presided over the earlier Huwa ritual, meets up with the other village elders to determine the best spot along the river to hold the main event. The excitement grows intense as the 2 opposing groups finally meet. The punok is a post-harvest festival, a day of rest and fun for the different communities who converge on the river to do battle with a wildly contested tug-of-war. Watching the entire community participate in this ritual, one wonders, is the ifugao culture really endangered? But the punok ritual had actually disappeared from Hapao for more than 20 years. It was only restored here in the last 4 years, since Lopez and others started promoting the revival of traditional practices.
if these people will be able to continue shooting things that are of cultural significance. No? It's it'll come with time, and that's why I say that there's a minimum 20 years in this program. Well, don't call it program. It's my life.
In the time frame of Kidlat Tahimik, the video documentation project may take 20 years. But today, there are already signs that the once uninterested youth are showing a new enthusiasm for some of the old ways and practices. Even if initially only on the video screen. For this next generation of ifugaos, seeing people videoing their rituals and watching themselves on the television screen may maintain their interest in the old customs and traditions. The ifugao heritage will not just fade away in the snapshots of tourists. It might be carried on once again by a new generation of proud ifugaos. Like the ancient rice terraces that have lasted for thousands of years, the ifugao culture will live on.